You know, I never thought I'd hope for a run to end so soon. 90 set. Oh god, we're so freaking close to 1Q. Holy crap. Oh, I don't know that we're gonna make it, but I hope we do. What is up, guys? It is time for that long-awaited playthrough of a full run. I'm obviously not going to play the full run for you, because I don't think you want to be here for 12 hours. So today I'm going to be running a tier 11 run. It's a little late in the day for me to start a tier 11, but I've been staying up a little later, so I should be able to restart it at the end. As a little bonus, just started the last level of Crit Factor. And then we'll switch that over to damage, which is at level 76, so that'll take a while to get up to here, but not too terribly long. So for my farming runs, this is what I normally run. Haven't found anything that works better so far. And then for our cards, we're going to use this setup right here. Probably don't need energy shield, but you know, it comes in handy sometimes. And again, same with energy shield. I really probably don't need second wind or nuke. I mostly have those on for when my game decides to restart, or I switch devices and I'm late in my run. That way it saves me from basically just getting one shot. I've got enough slots for it, so that's what I do. And then cash and the damage cards. Now I usually start with attack speed off, and then just a quick breeze through on my workshop so you guys can see how I keep that set up. Just like a so. And just a quick run through on my ultimate weapons. And that's where that's at. And then with enhancements, this is what I've got it at the moment. Jiggity jiggity. Googity googity. Yeah, so nothing really different than the progress update I did recently. And so yeah, we'll just jump straight into the run. I start with everything off except for these. So just like so. And then as soon as that first death wave hits, I turn it off, because 90 little Q is gonna run like 500 waves before that falls. And I do that intentionally just so that I can get my Berserker up a little bit faster. I could just let it run. That's just what I've always done. I like my death wave to get up to about 25 to 30 big Q in the pool. And then I let it run out until it dies. And yeah, so real quick, I'll show you guys if you don't know. Oh, let me go ahead and throw some bubbles into there. There's a tank. So when the tank comes up, you'll see the number in the parentheses next to it. That is what your damage pool is currently at. The number on the left is what the damage did to that unit, and then the number on the right in parentheses is your total in your damage pool. So then I'm just going to let it sit like this for probably 300 or 400 waves, and maybe more. I think it's more than that. I think it's 300 waves on tier 12, and then tier 11, I think it goes like 4 to 5. I can't remember. Okay, we're getting really close to that death wave dropping, but I wanted to go over what I've done in the meantime. I've put a few hundred levels into attack level skip and health level skip. I think I've got those set at about 360 in the workshop. I also maxed out my health and health regen and my damage. We've gotten just a little bit of Berserker charged from the Charged Berserker from the vault, but it's really not very effective at tier 11. There's just not enough damage being done to really do much of anything. Though it is really good in tournaments, it charges pretty fast there. And I did also want to go over the perks we've gotten. We've had really good luck and we got all the perk wave requirements almost immediately. Up until I get all of the perk wave requirements, all I grab are things like the purple and green perks where there's only one, just to make the pool a little bit smaller so that I can grab the stuff that I need, particularly the perk wave requirements. But in this case, I did get them really soon. Okay, we're just about to drop here. And there it goes. We're going to turn off our black hole. That way we can charge that Berserker up. It's not going to take too long at all. And there we go. So now we can turn our black hole and our death wave back on, and then we'll just let this charge until it gets to probably about 25 to 30 big Q, give or take, somewhere in that range. And that'll be enough to run until the health of the chips is enough that my death wave goes down on pretty much every activation, so that instead of killing every enemy as soon as it gets in range, I'm able to focus on the enemies that are in my spotlight with my projectiles to get that extra 3x bonus from the spotlight. And we'll take off all of our damage cards and add them back in as needed until my projectiles can no longer kill everything. And then after that, we'll just add in other damage sources as needed up until the end of the run. Okay guys, we are finally getting down to the wire. We're up to 3k health on our chips, so that should be enough for death wave to hopefully drop every time unless we get extra package chances. We'll do a quick run through on where we are as far as the perks go. Like I said before, we've got all of that. Since we were here, we got black hole duration, which is awesome. Finished up the corn perks, damage perks, and then we need one more health perk and one more regen perk, and then we should be set on our perks probably for the entire rest of the run. I don't need any more cash bonus, and I'm trying to think if there's anything. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to grab any more perks once I get these last two, so that should be it for that. We maxed out our enemy health level skips probably about 300 waves ago, I think, give or take. I can't remember exactly. I forgot to notate it, but yeah, about probably 300 to 400 waves ago, we maxed out those perks, and we're almost about to drop. The other things that I have done is maxed out my wall health and rebuild after. There it goes, it dropped. So we're going to turn death wave back on. And it looks like I've got a little too much going on. Oh, that's the problem. The other thing that I do, I take off my damage perks. I usually leave attack speed on. Sometimes I have to take it off if my death wave drops a little bit too early. Glad I did that beforehand. Because we should be able to. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, great. So we maxed out our wall health and rebuild after the ELS, and also my health. I already had health regen max because it's like 56 trillion to max it, so it's very small. And then I put 1 click into multi-shot chance and 3 clicks into rapid fire chance, and that usually is a good place to start for when my death wave starts dropping. It'll take me a little bit to get into it, and I'm still trying to kind of fine-tune where it's the appropriate balance between killing enemies too fast enough for GT Plus or slow enough to get enough enemies built up in my, oh gosh, what is it? Spotlight. Yeah, but so we'll be doing this for the next few, I want to say, I've added a lot more to my health level skips since I really paid attention last, and I usually am able to run just bullet damage until around 8 to 10 big Q, and that's when I have to switch to oh gosh, what is it called? That's when I have to add in my spotlight missiles. I think I misjudged things just a little bit on this run and I didn't put enough damage into my death wave, so it's kind of a wonkiness. But yeah, so we'll be doing this for a while, and I'll just slowly increase my multi-shot, rapid fire, and bounce shot until Usually I max those around 200 Q, 200 little Q. That's kind of about what'll happen with that. And then as my damage is not doing enough here, I'll add in my damage cards, starting with damage, then crit chance. Well, usually I add crit chance first because it's just a little bit more damage on my death wave, so it doesn't really make a big difference to my regular attacks. A little bit, but yeah, see, now we're up into the 800s. We should be hitting 1 trillion, I would say, in the next couple hundred waves. Give or take. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'll add the damage card, and then I'll swap damage for Berserker. Once Berserker starts to drop off again, I'll add damage in, and then once it starts to drop in again, I'll add on my Demon Mode. So we're not quite killing things quite as fast as I would like, so I'll add in Rapid Fire. And if I ever get too many on any of these, and it starts to drop my coins, I'll just take off the attack speed card. And that usually fixes it, and I'll let it run for a little bit longer, and then I'll put it back on. But I like having the attack speed card on just because that simply gives me a little bit of a fallback. If I go a little too far too early, I can just take that off, and we're good to go. Otherwise, that's pretty much how I'm going to run it for a while. This is what I was doing before I had GT Plus, except for it was a little bit less of a trick to balance killing enough enemies to make GT Plus effective and hoarding enough outside of my spotlight so that I could kill them all when the spotlight hit them. Because that's my goal at this point, is to kill as many enemies in spotlight as I can, preferably inside my golden bot. But as you can see, it's up most of the time. I have pretty good stats on my golden bot. I've got just a couple of more levels. I believe 40 seconds is the max on that. I cannot remember for sure. I keep forgetting to go check. Okay, looks like I cut that recording just a hair too early because now we are kind of hovering right at 1 trillion per minute. So we went up from about 750 to 850 to about 1 trillion. And I have experimented at this phase by leaving or bumping my death wave damage up so that it stays up and my coin will drop. We'll see if we can replicate that here just to show. Hit the right thing. There we go. So we'll let it hang up for a bit, and this will probably drop back down after about 20 or 30 seconds. So it takes a little bit of time for it to get to the point where it starts to drop, but once it does, it'll fluctuate, but it's not a massive difference, and like I said, it's a lot more micromanagement, but since I'm sitting here at my desk all the time, that's the micromanagement that I don't mind doing. If I'm busy, I'll just let it run. It's not a massive difference. It's not like, you know, double the coins or anything like that. I've never actually tracked it, but I probably should. Yeah, so we've dropped almost 100 billion because we were peaking, yeah, a lot higher than that. So I'm going to just give this some time. I'll turn it back on once it drops with the lower damage, and then we'll go from there. But I do want to, oh yeah, there we go. Got the last of those. What I do want to do in the near future is get that damage slider. I think doing the damage slider and being able to, I don't know how low you can go with it, but if I can get my damage low enough that I can fairly early start doing this, I think that will make my early part of my run a lot more valuable. Then again, it might be just not worth it at all. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to play around with it when I get it. Okay, this is about to drop. Yeah, so we dropped to less than 800 billion. So it is a substantial difference, a couple 100 billion per minute. So, you know, every couple of minutes I'm losing 1 trillion. So it's a substantial difference. See, we're already starting to go up a bit, and I think I'm gonna have to add a click into rapid fire. I try to max rapid fire first because that follows your target priority, and this is the target priority that I use when I'm farming. I'm not really that worried about what's here. I just want tanks at the bottom. That way I'm not killing them outside of the spotlight with my multi-shot and stuff. The stuff in the spotlight's generally all going to die while the spotlight's there, and that way it keeps stuff out of the spotlight from dying, so it helps keep stuff dying in spotlight, preferably in golden bot. But detectors really don't matter for me right now because I'm running orbless, so that's just leftover from when I was doing orb devo before I started the orbless that I'm doing now. But the main thing is spotlight, and then once I stop doing bullet damage, I switch it to closest, just so that whenever I do add in my chain lightning, it's proccing off of the closest enemies, so hopefully it helps keep chain lightning procs within my black hole. I don't know that it actually does, but that's the hope and the idea, because I don't worry about knockback chance. I don't even bother turning it on because everything's in the black hole all the time anyway, so it doesn't help me any. But yeah, this is what I do, and so we'll run this for a while and then check back in a little bit. Hopefully this gets back up above 1 trillion faster. I didn't run it too terribly long, so hopefully it won't hurt me too bad. But at least you guys got to see why I do it the way that I do it. Just a quick little insert. I just realized when it popped up, I didn't have a single defense percent perk. Oops. I'm glad I checked, because I thought I was done. Jeez, that would have been bad. But yeah, we're back up to above 1.1. So yeah, almost half a... If it goes up a little more, close to 500 billion per minute increase. So, yep. Okay, guys, we are at the point where I'm going to throw on my next damage card. So I like to kind of do things when it's about 20 times what the current wave health is on my death wave damage. So we'll go ahead and throw on the damage card, and that's going to bump it up to almost 400 little Q. And in the meantime, I've been slowly bringing these 3 up. The health is great enough that stuff really doesn't die outside of my spotlight. It does a little bit, but not much. And I kind of base it on how much damage or how much my coins per minute is. If I see it starting to drop a little bit, I'll start bringing stuff up. And then, like I said, if I bring something up too fast, I just take off the range card for a couple of minutes, and then that usually fixes it. It's not super, like, constant micromanaging, usually. The first few levels can be, but really, once I get this maxed out, it doesn't take very long. I mean, we've only been a couple hundred waves since I even started doing this. So, I mean, maybe... it's not really been too terribly long. We're at 109 trillion total. And, you know, just out of curiosity, I haven't checked my last couple runs. So, yeah, so we're at about 40%. A little less than 40%. Yeah, about 38% on my Golden Bot. So after getting GT Plus, I've said it multiple times before, but Golden Bot the overall percentage of my coins did drop because more of it's being done by GT Plus. Which makes sense. I'm still happy with my Golden Bot. Not so much with Steel. I need to look at it again. I actually probably have a bunch of points to put into it. I don't know. Still waiting on that one. I want to max it out and see what kind it's doing. If it can get to the point where, you know, it's actually doing a meaningful number, great. If not, as of right now, it's not. See, I may have gone just a hair early on my damage. Just a little bit, because it seems like I'm killing stuff just a little bit too fast. So I'll go ahead and take it back off and see how things are going, and we'll see what happens. But I'll play with it back and forth. Sometimes I put things on just a little bit too early, and it takes a couple of minutes to get to where you're actually seeing what's up with it. Okay, so I think it's about time to throw on the Berserker card. So I said earlier that about 20x what the wave health is what I shoot for. That's the maximum. I usually prefer to kind of go around 10x or even less. It really kind of depends on how fast stuff is dying. Somebody said in a comment on another video it's a balancing act, and it really is, and it's easy to make mistakes on it, and they're not big deals. I mean, if you realize, oh crap, I'm destroying stuff way too fast, then, you know, just take something off. It's very easy. Like I said, that's why I like keeping the attack speed card on, because that gives me a fail-safe if I need to take something off. Right now we're at about 400 Q. It's going to go up to about 800 Q, which is only about 8x, but I'm not trying to kill stuff with my death wave. I'm wanting to kill stuff with my bullets in the spotlight right now. We'll see what happens here. Yeah, it's probably fine. I don't like it when it starts building on itself, simply because it does tend to drop the number. I do want more effect waves so that I can keep it going constantly. So that plus the damage slider I think will be really beneficial for me. But I don't really want to run Death Wave full out when I can until I get more spotlight angle. At the very least, you know, get the 4th spotlight. After that, it may not be a big enough difference to, you know, not just running Death Wave. For now, we're hovering kind of about the same as what we were, give or take. I may be killing stuff a little bit too fast, so I'm going to take off that attack speed card and let it slow down just a little bit. It's a, like I said, it's a balancing act between getting enough kills in GT Plus to be worth it, but not too many, too fast. And one thing I did forget to mention was that my Death Wave health is maxed long before this. I don't even think about it because it maxes out so fast. Or I don't have to think about it. And again, I have nothing in Thorns or Knockback or Shockwave or Landmine Chance. So, yep, that's where that's it. I think I am going to actually take Berserker off, put damage and attack speed back on, and put the crit chance card on. That may be just a little bit of an edge that I was missing to... It's always funny when it hits 1,000 billion versus a trillion. That cracks me up every time I see that. You don't see it very much. So we'll see what that does. Right now, we're under 1 trillion a minute. Like I said, you kind of play around with it and see what works best. There is a lot more micromanaging playing this way, but as I've said, since I'm sitting here, why not do what I can to capitalize on it? Yeah, I think I may have just bumped it up just a little bit too early, so because it seems to be going back up a bit. And really what I could do instead, because like I said, I don't really care about my Death Wave killing stuff. What I care about are my bullets killing stuff. So I may, rather than add in Berserker, just bump up my attack speed. I have in the past tried not putting anything in bounce chance or multi-shot and then just bringing up my attack speed. But I've found that while that works and you just get kills in your spotlight, once stuff's in your spotlight, it has too much health to die fast. So it seems to be a little bit more effective to focus on rapid fire chance with a little bit of multi-shot and then bring in the bounce shot because of the damage difference between in and out of spotlight. Yeah, so now we're going up again. So yeah, the call was to add in attack speed, not Berserker this time. Yep, that was definitely what needed to happen. So we're gonna add in one more click and go with that. Yeah, so just a few waves later, I haven't changed anything else, and we're pushing 1.4 trillion a minute. CPM isn't really that big of a deal because you get really big spikes. You want really more a consistently high one than huge spikes and then immediately dropping. Because I've had that happen where I've had massive spikes in CPM and then they don't stay up that high. So it's not really the most accurate metric. You just want it to stay high long. But it is a way to kind of help judge how you're doing so far, which at this point in the run, we're at 3,000 waves, 156 trillion, so it's still not a massive amount. At this point is where the earnings start going up, I tend to get the biggest chunk of the run after about wave 4,500 is where the big chunk comes from. So we'll see what the run ends at the end, hopefully. Just a quick little pop in. Haven't changed anything else, but we are still going up, kind of hovering around 1.4, 1.5, give or take. And yeah, still trucking along. Well, just had a heck of a scare. I went to move the MSI app player to a different monitor and it just freaked out trying to change the sizes and disappeared. Was off the screen. Couldn't make heads or tails of it. So yeah, got it back, but I ended up having to force close it, and fortunately that's about where I was. Might have lost a couple of waves, but so we'll see what happens here. I was just about to, I just realized I forgot to turn my lights on. I was just about to add in my Berserker card in place of damage, although what does that bring me up to? 3-3? It's a little too much. I think that's probably too much. Yeah, that's killing stuff too fast, so we'll take damage off. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a little bit more manageable. Just don't want to kill stuff too quick, so we'll see how fast it climbs back up to over 1 trillion. We're getting there now. I'll give it a second, see what happens once we get our 100% uptime back on our black hole. That is the worst problem with doing these kinds of strategies, where you're relying on your CC. It just, you have an oops like that and it can kill your run, like in a big way, because all that stuff comes in, you don't have anything to control it, and then just was toast. Okay, yeah, we're now back above 1.1, so that's good. That's good. With all of the changes that my tower's gone through over the past couple of weeks with GT Plus, and then I've had a big step up in my damage. I went from like maxing in my farming runs at like 1.4 trillion or something like that to over 2. And I've gotten, have had other stuff come up as well that's made changes. It just, I've had a hard time finding the right balance. Let's see if we're gonna get that final, nope. Still waiting on one, oh no, I did get the last bounce shot, never mind. And we got the last defense percent. Okay, so we've got everything. Don't need anything else. One of these days, I'll just be able to full send everything and be okay with it. Okay, so I actually ran it just a little bit longer than I meant to. I had to go do some dinner stuff getting ready for that. So it's run a little bit harder than I meant. But we're still doing pretty good at 1.4 trillion, but I think it's time, because we've got a lot of enemies hoarded, which means we're not getting a lot out of GT Plus. So we're going to go ahead and trigger that, which is going to bump us up to 2.04 trillion. And that, almost 14K on the death, or almost, I'm sorry, K, wow. 14K Q. Big Q. And that might even be a little bit overkill with how much attack speed I've got. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. It's pretty fast, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take off the attack speed card. I hate it when I get distracted and don't pay close attention to it, because it's not a big deal, but let's do a quick little recap on where we're at. So we are just over 5 hours in, almost a quarter of a Q. So that's good. Let's see. I don't really want any of these. The one I want, yeah, landmine damage. I don't really need the landmine damage. I don't need the cash anymore. And I don't want any of those. So that'll be that for perks. And yeah, we'll let it run like this for a while. I'll start throwing on the attack speed card whenever enemies start piling up again, and then we'll see you again when we get maxed out, or if we hit a really high CPM, I'll pop back in. So one thing I did want to do before we went to the next phase, I've got 200 gems, and I can't help it. I always spend them as I get them instead of saving them. Because I'm still hoping for that last project funding. I need one more project funding and one more magnetic hook to get those to ancestral. We're hovering just under 2 trillion a minute, which is great. We still have some room to go on our attack speed. We're just slowly moving it up. And then once we max out attack speed, we'll hang out there until this number starts to drop. And when that happens, we will take off all of our damage cards and switch to spotlight missiles. So it won't be long. And then from that point on, the run is easy. Just keep check on it every now and then. Again, add in our cards as we need them. Okay, so we've started dropping. We were hovering right at 1.2 or 1.85, 1.9. We never actually broke over the 2 trillion mark, which I don't think I ever have on the bullet damage section. So because we're dropping down and our attack speed's already maxed out, it is time to throw on spotlight missiles. And now's as good a time as any. Everything goes boom. We're going to go over here. We'll take all of these off. And we really don't need cash anymore, but it's there. And sometimes when I first switch over, it drops because it takes a minute for it to kind of find its feet, I guess you could say. And sometimes, especially now, my bullet damage has taken me a little bit further than it's been taking me. And that has made Spotlight a little wonky. Like, I'm in a weird place with my damage right now, I think. And so it's just been kind of funny. But this should be pretty solid for a bit. Okay, so looks like we're having right around 1.7, and just the way it's running, I'm assuming it's just worked its way back up to that. So we're just gonna let it keep going. And when we need to add more damage, we'll add more damage. Otherwise, for now, I think it's good. Should have brought that down. Oh well. Okay, so we're going to back. And it went up and then it dropped again, so we're going to go ahead and start adding in some more damage. We'll just start off by adding damage. See how it goes. Once it gets a chance to get back up, we will go from there. I really don't want to leave this recording and just sit here watching it mindlessly. I've got work to do. And I don't do this when I'm actively playing the game. It just sits over there and I glance at it every now and then while I work. But since I'm sitting here filming, all I'm doing is staring at it quietly with nothing to do. All right, well, we'll just let it run for a bit, and when it starts dropping, we'll swap in that Berserker card, and we'll go from there. Okay, so been watching a little bit. We got about 400-ish waves out of that last one. Like I said, I don't think I'm getting as much time out of my Spotlight missiles as I was before, just because of where my damage is right now. At least that's my assumption. I think that the spawn rate is kind of capping Spotlight missiles out at about the same spot, but because I'm getting so much more out of my bullet damage than I was, but because before I was switching to Spotlight damage at like 6Q, and now I'm going to about 11Q on the chip help. We were hovering kind of right up around 2, and then it just dropped. Of course, now it actually seems to be going back up again, right as I'm about to change it. I think we're going to go ahead, because we've got this huge group of enemies over here, and I think we're going to go ahead and throw on our full-size smart missiles. Yeah, still less than 300 on this. Let's give it a go, see what happens. And I'll let that one go to clear everything out, and then we're going to take off all of our damage because it's just too much damage. Honestly, it's probably almost too much damage with all of the damage cards off. I can never remember what the multiplier is at. 3850, yeah. So even now, every extra, the second, third, fourth missile just hits so hard, because I think I'm putting out, so yeah, 11 plus another 4, so 15, yeah, I forgot it showed it there. Yeah, so 15 plus all of the spotlight missiles, it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. So we're going to let this run for a while. I'll see if it starts to drop again. I'll probably turn the smart missiles back off, but I don't think it will. I think it's probably going to stay right around here for a while, and then it'll start going up again. And we finally broke 2 trillion per minute. And at least as far as I've seen, it's possible I missed it because I've been doing other stuff and I was away from my desk for a while. You guys know how it goes. So we might have broken it. And yeah, so we'll probably hang out above that for the rest of the run, or at least until damage starts to fall off. And then eventually I'll have to add on some more damage cards. I've just got the one damage card on right now. I don't think it's necessary to do anything else at the moment. When it starts to drop below 2 again, I'll add on crit chance and berserker as needed. And then eventually, when stuff starts actually hurting me, most notably shatters and bosses, I'll throw on thorns, because right now I don't have thorns on. And I will add in chain lightning when I need to. Hopefully that's not till really late in the run, because that tends to make the CPM go down a pretty good bit, just because it kills so much outside of where I want it to. I also might put on Poison Swamp. I'm still experimenting with that. Sometimes I've noticed it give me a boost in coins, sometimes I haven't. So we shall see how it goes. I'll try to remember to at least show it, even if I don't do it. We're doing pretty good right now. We're hitting kind of in the mid 2.5. So I think the highest I've seen was, I think, 2.47. I might have missed it going a little bit higher than that, but 2.47 is the highest I've seen. I think that's the highest I've, oh, there's 2.52. That's the highest I've seen for my CPM in any run. There's 5.3. Awesome. Sweet. So, and just so that you guys know where we're at right now, we are maxed out on our damage. The only thing I can do to increase any more damage is to add in Chain Lightning or Poison Swamp. If it drops below 2 again, I might go ahead and add in Poison Swamp with no stun, just to boost that damage a little bit. We'll see. I've had mixed results with that. Sometimes it's actually benefited because it's done enough damage with Swamp Rend that by the time it gets where it needs to go, things die faster. And that kind of overcomes the 25% slow of Poison Swamp. So we'll see. Oh, there's 2.55. Yeah, 6. Sweet. In the words of JP, let's go. Still going solid. I left it for a while. Why are those flashing? That is a problem. Let's see what we're at. So we're at 600 trillion over 8.5 hours. In general, I usually run in tier 11, 12 to 13 hours, give or take. Depends on some things or various factors, but I did max my ELS earlier than I normally do in the run, because I put a little bit more into it, and this is really the first good run I've been able to do since I've done that. With the holiday and the way that the last couple of weeks have been, it's been really hectic, so I have not done a true good full managed run. It's mostly been unmanaged runs that were just a mess. and a lot of tier 12 runs, which don't tend to get as much. I haven't really done the research to find out what's actually getting me the most coins per hour. I need to do that, but in general, I get between 8 and 900 trillion in tier 11 for about a 12-hour run versus like 500 trillion for like an 8-hour run. So I think it's better with tier 11, plus I get a lot more cells. Now, if I do an unmanaged run and just kind of let it go with free ups and all to make sure that I can finish the run, it's worse. It's like 260 to 350. So it's not great. It's better on tier 12. I really want to get to where I'm farming tier 14 with some free up masteries and just let it go. But I am not there yet. So we're just going to let this run for a little while longer. And when it gets to the point where stuff's starting to hurt me, I will throw on Chain Lightning and Poison Swamp. Just for the heck of it, let's throw on Poison Swamp right now. So it's doing 5 big Q. We're at 31S. So let's throw that on. And it's going to be a massive range, but let's see what happens with it. We're hanging right around 2.12, which is great. So now all of this stuff is going to start taking a bunch of extra damage. My Poison Swamp does pretty good. Even though my damage on Poison Swamp is really low, Ren does a lot. It really does. So let's see if this actually increases anything. If it does, we'll leave it. If it doesn't, we'll take it off. Because it definitely does slow things down a bit. I mean, a little up, but I think it's enough that we'll leave it for now. Get back to doing some other work and we'll see what it does. I may turn it off in a minute. I'll give it a few minutes to actually see what it does. And if it does something crazy, I'll let you know. If it doesn't, then you won't hear anything. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it's really not having a big effect one way or the other. So, well, maybe. We'll let it run for a while and see what happens. Okay, and it does seem to have helped. We're back up to around 2.4, so I'm going to leave it on. It stayed for a while. It's been 100 waves, 200 waves, I don't even remember. Not too long, but it took a few minutes, but it got back up there, and so we'll just leave it and let it run. Okay, so we're still sitting right around 2 trillion a minute, give or take. It looks like things are piling up just a little bit, so I think I'm going to go ahead and try turning on Chain Lightning. We're way beyond what Chain Lightning actually does. There's just so much of it. So let's give it a try and see what happens. It might initially bump up the number a bit, and then we'll have to see what happens after that. Okay, just based on this initial assessment, it looks like it's not beneficial. I haven't done as much experimenting this late in the run. Usually once I turn Chain Lightning on, I leave it on. But I also usually don't turn it on until I notice that I'm getting close to dying because of too much stuff building up. And it seems like it might be okay at this point. We weren't really taking a whole lot of damage, all things considered. Because even though we've only got 30 trillion, it's, it's doubled or almost doubled because of my, well, what is my lab at? Yeah, so it almost doubled. So 60, almost. And then another 2.5, so 145-ish trillion. And we're only taking 2% of this, so I shouldn't be dying anytime soon. I don't actually know the exact number of what my one-hit kill is. I can't remember what that term is for the life of me. But, yeah, it looks like we're staying about 2 with Chain Lightning, so I think we're going to leave that on. This seems like it's doing pretty good. The frame rate is really tanking though, but to be fair, I do have an open world segment of Warframe running right now at 85 FPS in 4K. and I'm having this weird bug where the camera driver for my webcam is pushing like 30% of my CPU, which is really, really weird. And I don't know why it's doing that. So I'm assuming as soon as I turn OBS off and my webcam disconnects, my FPS is going to jump up. I'm hoping that's the case because it usually does not drop that low. Even with doing other stuff, because I edit videos all the time while running, and my video editor runs a whole lot more on the CPU and my RAM than Warframe does. Oh, look there, we're at 2 1/4. Just so that you guys know, we are currently at about 9.5 hours in the run, and we're at 720. I potentially could break 1 queue with this run. Maybe, we'll have to see. And then we'll have to see if I can stay awake long enough to actually record the end of the run. We'll see. But as a whole, this is how the run is going to run for the rest of the game. The only change I'm going to make from here on out is when Chain Lightning stops doing enough damage to keep things cleaned up a bit, I'll add on attack speed, which will more than double, right? Isn't it 2 1/4 or something? 2.15. Okay. Yeah, so more than double my damage for Chain Lightning. And then I might turn on extra orbs eventually when my coins drop. Yeah, just a quick little update. We've been hanging kind of right around 2 trillion a minute. And we're at 7,500 waves. In general, my best on waves is just shy of 10. No, that's the wrong one. 9321 is my best on tier 11. And we are at 755 trillion coins earned, with 259 from Golden Bot and a measly 3.61 trillion stolen coins, which is nuts. But got 5 medals. One of these days, I really need to actually check to make sure that I'm capping these, because I'm not 100% sure if I am or not. I think the cap is 10 on medals, and I've already got 5 since, so we should be capping the medals every day, and that's really the only one I care about. So it might be worth it for me to go ahead and throw on attack speed. Let's kind of get, let's throw it on and we'll give it a shot. See what happens. We'll leave it on for a while and see what happens. If it starts to tank again, I'll let you guys know. Otherwise, expect it to be good. Yeah, I think it's going to stay good. Keep us above 2 trillion. And then that'll help keep these rays off of me. Okay, so it seems like our damage, we're not keeping up enough damage anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the extra orbs in place of cash and see if that makes a difference. It probably will. At this point, we're at close to 8,000 waves, and this is probably how we'll run the rest of the run right here. Hopefully that'll get us back up to around 2 trillion per minute. And yeah, I think at this point, though, I am going to take off Poison Swamp, though, because I don't really need it anymore, because I'm relying more on my orb damage now to kill stuff. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and take the 50/50 perk and nothing else. Yeah, so we're still here hanging. Looking pretty good. We were hanging around right at like 1.8 to 2 trillion a minute. We've slowly dropped down over the last literally like 2 minutes. But I think it partially is due to frame drop from opening up OBS. So we're sitting at about 11 hours and just shy of 900 trillion, which my record is, I believe, 905. Yeah, 905.86. So we are really, really freaking close to that. So yeah, I'm gonna let this keep running. I'll probably just zip through it really fast until the end, and then we'll talk about it when we get there if I'm still awake. There is a very good chance that camera may end up with me asleep on that table. It's like 1:13. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm playing Warframe, which is a little bit of an obsession for me, even though it's been 4 years since I've played it. Yeah. Giggity goo. You know, I never thought I'd hope for a run to end so soon. I'm tired. It just doesn't seem to want to end. Now, I am approaching my PB. I want to say my PB is 93 something. Let's do a quick check. 93.21. So we're getting close to it. Based on that, I'm inclined to say we're not going to make it. But, and we're at 97. Oh, God, we're so freaking close to 1Q. Holy crap. Oh, I don't know that we're going to make it, but I hope we do. Dude. We're still kind of hovering 1.6 to 1.8, give or take. So it's been looking like a pretty good run. And like I said, I think we actually just passed our PB. 93.25. I think it was 93.21. Are we at 93.25? Yeah. So new PB on the actual length of the run, which is something else. And we've already hit a PB on the coins for the run. So, gosh, so daggum close. And Crowbar just did a live stream where he was hitting the one big Q. So that's cool. No. I don't know what I can do to fix it. I mean, I guess I could just... I just lose so many coins when I do the free ups and go full size and all, but it does make me go a little bit further. I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to do anything else. We're just going to let it go as it is. And fingers crossed. Shoot, this run's been going on so long, my lights behind my guitars have died. I literally have lights behind them, and they've died. The lights up there are dead. I've got one here. I think it has some juice left. Let's see. Oh, yep. It's still got some juice. So we're at now 982. Holy crap. We are so freaking close. Holy crap. Dude. We are so close to a PB. Well, we're already past the PB, but we're close to the milestone, the big one. I was going to say something. The big one, there's a word that goes there, and I honestly have no idea what it is. Ooh, we almost lost it there. Let's see where we're at. And we're pulling in almost 2T a minute. 983. God, we're close. You know what, just on the safe side, let's throw a couple of clicks into range, because I do have enough range to keep it inside. I don't know that's really going to help, because I think it's mostly the rays that are damaging me. You know, let's just throw everything on. Shoot, let's even throw on Chrono Field, just so that we can stay alive. And that'll give us enough damage reduction. Hopefully between that, it's going to lower our CPM, but hopefully keep us alive long enough to hit that 1Q. I don't have the max labs on my Chrono Field damage reduction. Just to check. Oh, what is it? Yeah, so 2150 is what we're at currently. So we've got decent damage reduction. So if I remember right, that takes place on top of, so the 98%, so we got a 2% of the damage getting through, so 2% of 4Q, and then another 21% off of that. I think that's how the Chrono Field works. Not 100% sure on that. Where are we at? 986. We're close. We're really, really close. Okay. We are at 9,500 waves, way beyond my PB, and we're right there at the 1Q. Like, dude, I've done things this run I normally don't do. I usually just let it go, but holy crap. Dude, my eyes are so puffy. I just looked at my camera screen. I look like I'm stoned and about ready to pass out. I promise you, I am not. I have never been stoned in my life, but I am ready to pass out. It is way past my bedtime. Oi! Oh, there it is! There it is! Yeah! Yeah! You know, there was a time these things were actually looked like guns. Now they're just, I mean, they're, yeah. I've been out of work too long. Oh well. But yeah, we did it. 1 freaking K. No. 1 freaking Q. Dude. 12 hours, 4 minutes, real time. Yeah, I started this run way too late. So we'll let it go ahead and finish however long it goes. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Well, that was that. 1.01 Q. Dude, 9,616 waves. I saw it coming. 255,000 cells. Bunch of reroll chars. That's handy. And yeah, 1.01 Q coins. That is by far the best run I have ever had. In just over 12 hours. And let me tell you, it was a lot more than 12 hours because I had to stop it for a while because I couldn't pay attention to it and deal with some other stuff a couple times. Okay, we got a solid 34-ish, 34.5-ish% on Golden Bot, which is pretty solid considering the level of GT Plus I have, which is great. And I'm gonna be honest, pushing 5T on steals, that's a surprise. I did not expect that to be that high. Cool. That was a heck of a run. We'll see you guys later. Peace. And we quit.